Okay. God, excuse me. Week 8, 8 circuit brain course, done here in memory of Antero Alli. Um, I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about the development, history and development of the model. The model was developed by Timothy Leary. My assumption is, knowing a little bit about Leary, that the moment he had his first psychedelic experience, he started trying to make a map or a model to understand the psychedelic experience. And my guess is that started from the very beginning. And you can see, if you read his book Flashbacks, it talks a lot about how they're always trying to do that. And I think he finally settled, in my opinion, on the eight circuit model of consciousness, which Antero called the eight circuit brain. And if you read his books, a lot of it comes from a very deep philosophical place, more so than a real rubber hits the road kind of place. And Bob Wilson, who helped him develop the model in the mid and early 70s, um, wrote famously Prometheus Rising, where he really popularized the model. He showed how it connects to modern psychology and maybe fringe psychology. Um, and really, everybody says do the exercises of Prometheus Rising. The exercises, in my opinion, about 75% of them are put yourself in X point of view or perspective, and then put yourself in the opposite point of view or perspective, which is fine. And I think it's great. And I think that really helps one develop their third circuit understanding of the model. Maybe the quarter experience helps with the thinker and the prover, and there's like a salt bath, maybe a warm bath, nurturing experience early on. But most of the exercise are these kind of polarity things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think Bob Wilson really uh, helped people understand the model more deeply from a theoretical point of view and conceptual point of view. He really helped understand the map, but the map is not the territory. And Antero came along and really brought embodiment to the model. He brought his paratheater background. As you can see, it built into the exercises, a lot of the exercises that are in his eight circuit brain book. And he just brought this time tested experience navigating non ordinary states. He brought that practical experience in the model. And so what I mean by that is, like, he would talk about how he had a very profound experience of leaving his body, I believe in the mid 80s. And when he went to write Angel Tech, a lot of that book is how he reclaimed his body and reclaimed his personal experience by using the eight circuit model. And what I've found as I try to write about and talk about the eight circuit model is that once I get down into it, I really don't have the understanding I think I have, because I haven't quite worked through the direct experience. Lately, I've been working through some like second circuit stuff, for example. And last year, I was working on some real deep first circuit stuff. And I've talked about that a little bit on some other videos, and I'm happy to talk about that more. I didn't go into a lot of personal sharing when I made this series of videos. But I think that's what really is where the rubber hits the road. I've been reading a lot of other folks' takes on the model the last few years, and a lot of times it just seems to be missing that personal experience. And my goal is really, to the extent Antero brought embodiment into the model, I want to bring relationship into the model. I believe the model is based on developmental psychology and transpersonal psychology. And I believe we develop in relationship. It's our relationships, particularly in circuit one and circuit two, that shape so much of how those circuits are imprinted. And there's a saying we have: if you're hurt in a relationship, you must heal in relationship. And so there's something about using relationship to integrate those first and second circuit shadows, as well as third and fourth. Um, so anyway, just want to appreciate Antero in that regard and what he's brought to the model. Um, and maybe talk about a couple limitations. Antero ever started, since he started this course roughly 15 years ago, would bring up the Professor Adams story and What Does Woman Want as the origin story for the model. And I'm here to tell you that story is complete bullshit. And I called Antero out on this years ago when he started promoting this story. I said, hey, some little private message, hey, this story isn't true. And his response was that never let the truth get in the way of a good story, which is so Antero. He's a theater guy. That's the way he works. And that's cool. That's fine. But to me, the Professor Adams story makes it sound like this model is just bestowed upon Leary. And it really takes away from all the hard work that Leary did to develop this model over years, working with different people and coming up with what I feel is a pretty legitimate psychedelic model. Not psychedelic, a model of our consciousness is such a loaded word, which is why I don't like using it. But I don't know that the current definition of consciousness fits what we're talking about. So it's a model of dimensions of mind, I think. There's an infant in us that's running in the show. There's a toddler in us that's helping running the show. There's a preschooler in us that's running the show. There's an adolescent in us that's helping run the show. And they're all running behind the scenes unconsciously. And then there's all these transpersonal states, these spiritual states of consciousness that can be accessed through spiritual practice, through psychedelics, through chance, through deliberation, and they fit together. And this model helps make sense of it all. But the Professor Adams story is not how this model came to be. It's a good story. I love it. But the other thing Antero was always sort of preaching about, so to speak, was not to mix models. He had no interest in mixing the tree of life with the chakra system with whatever, and how that compared to the 8-circuit brain model, as he called it. And somebody that really appreciated Robert Anton Wilson and really enjoyed making all those connections early on, I don't feel the same anymore. Antero used to bug the shit out of me because he was always kind of correcting me or poking at me around mixing models. As he said, mixing models it's like mixing drinks. It gives him a headache. And lately I've really come to appreciate that. I think there is some value if you are an expert in the Hindu chakra system, for example, and you're trying to learn the 8-circuit brain model. You can see, well, okay, maybe the first circuit compares to the lowest chakra, and how can I take my knowledge from Hindu chakras and apply it to the 8-circuit brain so that I can learn the 8-circuit brain model, or the 8-circuit model of consciousness, or 8 dimensions of mind. But anyway, for me, that's a way to leap from one model to the other to kind of facilitate and come up the learning curve. But eventually I've come to appreciate the differences in the chakra model, let's say, and the 8-dimension 8-circuit model. And that's an area that interests me. Where are the differences? Let's stop trying to meld these models into one kind of super model. They're all modeling consciousness, so there's going to be some similarities. But it seems to me like a lot of folks get really excited about blending models, and I get it, and it's just not my thing anymore. So that's kind of my ramble about that. Really was cool to do this course, or to do these videos, I guess, along with this course. My intention is to keep doing these videos and maybe try to turn up the professionalism so they're not so off the cuff, but we'll see how that goes. Professionalism isn't necessarily my strong suit, but I do want to keep making videos on 8 circuits, 8 dimensions, and so on. Hero's Journey, Chapel Perilous, all that good shit. Love it. All right, bye.